Oh, hey everybody, I'm Rick. Welcome to Talking Habs. It's Saturday Hockey Talk. I'm just getting ready. I'm running a little late. See you in a minute.
Choke Cola, Game 7 Special Blend, the official soft drink of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Choke Cola, careful how you swallow. It's Game 7. And by NHL Pricks Sports Betting. 19 years and over only. Yeah, right. Please gamble responsibly. We will. NHL Pricks Sports Betting. Give us your money.
Hey everybody, I'm Rick. Welcome to Talking Habs. We get your daily fix of Blue Blanc Rouge. It's Saturday Hockey Talk, Saturday night in the off season. So everything's kind of lax around here, as you can tell by my dress. I'm not wearing a dress. It's a shirt. Yeah, I don't even know if anybody's here. Oh, there are 3 people here. Awesome. So say hi, and we'll talk hockey. Talk about whatever you want. Not a ton of news for the Habs anyway. There's a game on tonight. St. Louis is playing. Just brain fart. Can't remember. Anyway, it's on the screen here. They haven't started yet. So I'll have the game will be on. Talk about that. We'll talk about whatever you guys want. Let's see if anybody's here. Crypto Bunny. Hey, Crypto Bunny. How's it going? Thanks for being here. Appreciate that. And who else is here? Let's talk. A lot of controversy I found this week, at least on Twitter anyway, about Shane Wright and whether or not he'll be, the first pick overall. I haven't seen any reason to believe he won't be. It's mostly from a former Habs scout on Twitter. You might know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to mention names. I mean, he's pushing Slafkovsky, which, is fine. I like Slafkovsky a lot, but I don't think Shane Wright's not going to be the number 1 pick. I really don't. What do you guys think? Game's about to start over there. And, I'm hoping to entertain you guys. I don't know. We'll see. It's a bit, like I said, it's a bit of a laid back Saturday. A lot of Saturdays are in the off season. I've got nothing big planned. I wasn't working on a video today. Hey, Yukon. Oh, Yukon, no way. I don't. No, Toronto, not. No, they can't win. No, for no reason. Not for me anyway. Everybody's different, and you're allowed to have your opinion, obviously, but not for me. I don't agree with that. Crypto Buddy, yeah. I still think Shane will be number 1. I don't see anything. I don't see anything that's made me change my mind yet. Anyway, hey, Kenny B. On the NHL ready part, I'm not 100% sure on that. But do I think he's the safest bet? I do. I still think that's the truth, and nothing that I've seen has changed my mind yet. Like I said, I don't know what would. I don't know what would come out. I guess because Shane Wright is not playing right now, and Slafkovsky's at the World Men's Championship. Is that what it is? So he's playing and he's getting, press and everything. I guess that's what it is. There's a lot of good players there at the top, but I think Shane Wright's I don't think there's a doubt for me yet right now. Nolan. I don't disagree with you there. The year of development. So look, at the worst, so he's not NHL ready. He needs a year back in junior, and that's fine. Let him go back to junior and dominate down there. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If that's what it turns out to be. It's the Avs. That's it. Thanks, Yukon. Now I know who they're playing. Does St. Louis push the Avs to 7? Well, what? This is game 2 or 3? I don't know. I haven't been watching it. This will be the first time I see any of it. Hey, BL. I've been doing good. How about you? Yeah, I see Riley Kidney has joined Laval. I don't understand that. My thoughts exactly. I don't know how that happened. So yeah, I don't know how he's able to join Laval. I really don't know how that's possible. I mean, does that mean he's not going back to junior? No, it doesn't mean he's not going back to junior. I guess because it's the playoffs there for the AHL. I just thought at 18 they're not allowed. Although, you know what? When you think about it, didn't Caden Gooley do the same thing last year? So he ended up playing a couple games for Laval. Although I think that's because of the way, because of the COVID shutdown. So this is not the same. Kenny B, I will, be really stupid not to. If they deem that Shane Wright's not the number one player, they're going to choose someone else. It'll take a few years before we know whether he was the best one or not. So, BL, yeah, next year he cannot. He can't play for Laval during the season. Yeah, I know that. That's why I didn't understand him being in Laval for the playoffs. Nolan, I mean, you know what? It's possible, sometimes guys will have for no reason I'll have a bad playoff, have a bad tournament, international tournament. Maybe that's it. He just had a bad stretch at a bad time. Doesn't mean that he's not worthy of that pick. Crypto Bunny, I would not be surprised if they do two things. One, trade down like for two picks, or use that pick to draft Can't Use His Son, Jack. I wouldn't be surprised if Montreal goes after him either with that pick anyway or with their first second round pick. Like I have a feeling if he's around when they're picking there, they might pick him. I don't know enough about the back end of the first round to know. I haven't really studied it yet. I was thinking of doing like a mock draft. The last couple of seasons, I've done a mock draft because Montreal was picking 15th, 16th, and then 31st last year, 30th, whatever the pick was. This year, though, it's first. I mean, I always go up until Montreal's pick. And so my mock draft's going to be one. Like, I don't know. So I might not do a mock draft this year. Hey, Lucas, Al's pretty good. Luca, it's still weird. I wouldn't say weird. I'm used to it already. I don't mind not being on 3-4 times a week. Not that I didn't like those, but it's nice to have a break, to be honest with you. So, but I get it. Love to see Wright playing with Roy at the World Junior Hockey Championships. I guess the possibility. I don't know. Obviously I don't follow a lot of the junior stuff. Nolan, yeah, I mean, from what I understand, what his season this year, I don't think it's anything to really be worried about. I really don't. He had a really slow start. I didn't really know about the injury, but he had a really slow start at the beginning of the season, and he still put up good numbers, and I think he'll be fine. Matt needed a break. It's Saturday. Matt, I tell you this all the time. Matt is not here on Saturdays, so make it what you want. Hey, Larry. Same here, buddy. It's only been a week since the last one. That's one thing. Anyways, in the off season, at worst, I'm on once a week. Should be on twice a week, and sometimes a little, a third time if we have something. But Faye, do you really think though Arizona wants to give up that second pick? I mean, what would they have to offer to get it? That's the thing, right? You're going to have to offer more. Like, I don't think Montreal wants to do that personally. Be nice to have 1 and 2, yes, but I would think Arizona's asking price would be rather immense. Unless they want to take some bad contracts off our hands for it. I mean, that's different. But I don't think so. Now that the Kings are toast, who am I picking? That's a good question. Well, let's see. We got Colorado, St. Louis. And then we got what's the other game? I don't remember. What are the all the teams now? I don't remember. I'm telling you, not having a good day for that. I can't. Every time I'm talking to my buddy Pat and we're talking about this, we can never get all the teams. I have to go look it up. Can never get it off the top of our heads. So in the West, we got Colorado and St. Louis, and we have Yeah, I don't know the other teams in the 2 teams in the West. Why is that? Oh, Calgary and Edmonton. I haven't been watching Colorado, St. Louis. Couldn't really tell you. So tonight's gonna be the first time. I guess I haven't settled on anybody yet right now. I don't know. Too difficult to say right now for me. Needless to say, though, my bracket is completely shattered once the Kings lost. Nolan, yeah. I mean, listen, he's kind of like another Suzuki. I mean, just having 2 Nick Suzukis would be great. If Shane Wright does that, I'm good with that. And his floor is basically, they say, second line center as a floor. You're not going to be. He's not a bust. I don't think he'll be a bust, no matter what. Right? He's either a solid NHLer or he's going to be a hell of a good player. Is he going to be a generational player? No. Will he be elite? Doubt it. I mean, that's how it is. That's how I see it. BL, I have Tampa. Not Tampa, Florida coming out, but I mean, it doesn't look good right now. So, yeah, it's probably going to end up being, let's say, a couple years ago, I think I had Tampa, Colorado. It's probably going to be Tampa, Colorado in the finals. We'll see. Jeez. Dry stuff. I rolled it too tight. It's dry, though. Crypto Buddy, I think, there's a good shot next 5 years that Montreal will be hoisting that cup, yes. Who do I think they'll pick if they don't pick right? I don't know if you can answer that, because if they don't pick right, I don't know. I think it's hard to say where they're looking at, right? I think everyone's going to think, well, I mean, Logan Cooley. I think if they don't pick right, it would be Slavkovsky. But then again, if they don't pick right, they could be looking at somebody else completely, and I just don't think they're going to do that. So I don't know. I think the automatic answer would be Slavkovsky for that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking exactly. I just think they're going to pick right. I don't see why they wouldn't. Well, Fate, maybe St. Louis comes out. I don't know. If Colorado wants to win a cup, man, they better get over this. If they can't beat St. Louis, they better get over it. Oh, BL, I haven't heard anything about Bergeron. Is he calling it a career? I mean, how would we know? He'll announce it when I don't think you'll find out till he announces it. So I've heard like nothing about that. Nolan, that's a good point, right? And at 15, they made that special agreement or whatever special rule so he could play in the OHL. The kid's got talent. I don't see why all of a sudden he lost it. I mean, it could happen. I mean, I'm not saying it can't, but I don't think so. Edmonton and Tampa in the final. Listen, if Edmonton gets by Calgary, look, they could definitely go. I'm tired of that. Crypto Bunny, listen, you and I agree with that. We're not scouts. We don't have the scouting team the Habs do, and it's possible they find somebody that they like better. I mean, it's a possibility. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's a possibility, I guess. I'm not the expert. I'm going to leave it up to them. I'm going to trust in them, and I think they're going to pick right. No, I guess it could be. I don't know. I think he's going to pick who they feel is the best player available at first. I don't think that's going to be different. I think it's not fully Gorton's call. Kent Hughes definitely seems to have, I wouldn't say autonomy, but I mean, definitely is not a lame duck's not the right. He's not a puppet for a GM. Like he's not Hughes or Gordon's puppet. So I don't know that it's Gordon's decision overall. I think they're gonna. So I don't know. I think it's just gonna be the best player available. It's what they said they're gonna do, and I think that's what they're gonna do. BL, yeah, I mean Lafreniere's young still, right? I mean, he was definitely not a bust. So yeah. And listen, how many players come into the league at 18, 19, 20, in their first year? And they're superstars right away. Not a lot, right? There's a few that have done it, but it's not a lot of players do that. So if Laffy took 3 years to get there, it's not a shock. It shouldn't shock anybody. Larry, they did pick badly. Not me that did the research, but my buddy Pat, we were talking about this. Well, I'll say what Larry said. Ooh, that jumped. So Larry says, hope they choose wisely. Last time the draft was in Montreal, they picked badly. Doug Wickenheiser was no Denny Savard. And I mentioned this. Obviously, I did this in a video very recently. The thing is that Doug Wickenheiser wasn't that far off. Like, he wasn't as much of a reach as I said in the video. He was a reach. I didn't realize that. He was actually a solid pick. He was the wrong one, but he was a solid pick. I mean, yeah, he was. I don't know if he was the leading consensus to be number one, but I think he was. Is that, with what we're talking about, is that like give anybody confidence going for? I guess not, but yeah, I mean, I don't want to belittle Wickenheiser. He was quite a good prospect at the time. Had solid numbers. He was big, could skate. I mean, yeah. And that's the thing about 18-year-olds, right? I think today, 42 years later, they're a little better at judging that than they were back then, but Lucas, yeah, I don't disagree. The problem for me, the one thing with Wright seems what's the word I want to look for? I want to say he's intense. He's intense. Like, he's really intense. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing in the long run, but he's really intense. I tend to think it'll be a good thing. Hey, Renegade Man. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, it seems like that. You know, when you're reading articles by the real experts, not necessarily people on Twitter. I mean, there's still consensus is that Wright is the number one pick. I haven't seen any of those big guys change on that. So does that mean that they're 100% right? No, it doesn't mean that, but you know, pretty close. Maybe he's taking a foot off the gas to going with people still hyping him up. But it's jumping. Wow, how many people are? 17 people. It's jumping. Where did that go? But a bit less than before, or maybe clear his mind and pop off next year. And in a few, I don't know what we're talking about. With the stats Wickenheiser had, any team would have picked him. Crypto Bunny, yeah, I don't disagree with. It obviously wasn't the right pick, but he wasn't as much of a stretch as I think I made it out to be. They didn't reach that far. Like, oh well, because I guess he was I didn't know that he was the consensus number one at the time, to be honest with you, and I think he was. Now, in 1980, the draft, I mean, it wasn't the same. It was not as, it was a lot more low key than it is today. Lucas, you may be right about Louis LeBlanc, but it's funny. I don't know if anybody's watched Shorzy yet. Shorzy, from Letterkenny. That series is on. It's got 4 episodes out. In there, because I watched all 4, and I think in all 4 in the credits after lists a first round draft pick by the Montreal Canadiens that might have been as bad or worse than Louis LeBlanc, and that is Terry Ryan. Terry Ryan, I think, was a number 8 pick, and I mean that was a bad pick. BL seems like it. He's got 20 points in 9 games. If they go say Edmonton does go all the way, so you're looking at 25 games, maybe the 28. How many points is this guy going to get? You know what I mean? He's going to put up Gretzky like numbers, and it's about time McDavid does this. If you ask me. He needs to. St. Louis just scored. St. Louis just scored almost 4 minutes into the first period. He needs to. He needs to pull this team up by the bootstraps, or just throw them on his shoulder and win a couple of games like that way, or a series. Literally, he needs to do this. Is he doing it? It seems like I've seen some of his play. I watched half the game yesterday. And I've seen a lot of the highlights. He's pretty amazing. He's pretty amazing. Is that David Perron just scored? No, that's on the point. So who was that? On a broken stick? 55. Isn't that Perron on St. Louis? It didn't look like Perron, but maybe we're wrong. Anyway, let's see. Ooh, it jumped. There's a lot of comments in there. Wow. David Fisher. You know what, though? David Fisher, if I'm correct, played a number of years for Predators. So I think that's David Fisher that I'm thinking of. So I don't know if he was as bad a pick as that, just not for Montreal. Lucas, yeah, I mean, he's really intense. He does seem like that. I just worry about that intensity sometimes. But yeah. Timmins was such an idiot. Can't believe they left him there for almost 20 years. Who are we talking about now, Nolan? Larry, talking about 1980, they were just they see 79. They were just 1 year removed from the 4 cups in a row, weren't they? Bill, I couldn't tell you. I have not heard that rumor. Bill saying, is it true that Arizona is trying to move up and make a deal with Montreal for the number 1 pick? It's the first time hearing that. This was mentioned earlier about Montreal trying to get Arizona's number 2 pick, but not the other way around. Larry, was Wickenheiser a bust overall? I think he was a solid NHL player. So I don't know if he was a bust, but as a number 1 overall pick, I think he was a bust. As far as that goes, right? For a number 1 pick. But he was an okay NHL player to solid NHL player. Didn't put up huge numbers. But I mean, he was still yeah, I think he got a bit of a bum's rush here in Montreal. Lucas, is Galchenyuk a flop? Would I agree with Nolan or you on that? For number 3, I guess he was a legitimate number 3 pick out of that draft. Like how many years later, right? As bad as that, I get was a bad draft. But I mean, come on. The last 5 years, since he got traded away from here anyway, he's been kind of garbage. Mostly garbage. BL, they absolutely took Louis LeBlanc because he was a Montreal kid. I don't know. I forget I don't know who it was that was the was that Gainey? I don't know who it was Jim. They took him because he was. I mean, it was a mistake. You should never do that. They wanted to please the crowd, and they took him. Now Louis LeBlanc was what 18th, not first or second or third, so not as bad as if they do something like that this year. They won't do something like that this year. Renegade Man, Guillaume Latendresse. Yeah. He was, but they rushed him. His skating could have been worked on. They rushed him into the league because they were desperate to have a hometown star again. And yeah, it was a big mistake. Latendresse could have been a good, solid NHL player, but they rushed him. I think that's no doubt about that, at least in my mind. Kyle Chipchura was a first-round pick as well. But don't forget, at those years, they were all in the middle of the pack because the Montreal just seemed to, stay in that same area. And it doesn't work. That's why we want to rebuild. We need to rebuild. Pareko's 55, Perron's 57. All right. Terry Ryan, a tough Newfoundlander whose style just didn't fit with the Habs. Well, it didn't fit an NHL team either. He didn't have an NHL career, so it's not just the Habs. And as no knock on Terry Ryan, I've heard the guy on the radio talk and tell stories. He's a funny guy. It's not. I wasn't putting him down. But as far as an 8th pick, Larry, yeah, Babbage went 2nd overall to Winnipeg. Babbage had a long career too. I mean, he was a good pick. But Montreal should have picked Denny Savard. I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. Denny Savard could have been the next big French star here in Quebec, hockey player, but they didn't pick him, and they should have. I mean, with hindsight being 2020, obviously they should have. Oh, BL, thank you. David Legwand is who I was thinking of. Yeah, it's not the same guy. Okay, yeah, you're right. David Fisher was a bad pick. That's funny. But David Legwand, who, and he had a long career with Preds. I mean, not a great player, but he's a good, solid player. And I don't know who I don't know how he got to Nashville. I imagine we traded him. I just don't remember who we got. They rushed Wickenheiser. They probably did for a first pick. I mean, probably. Babbage was no. You got that wrong. Larry Babbage was Dave Babbage went behind Wickenheiser in the 80 draft. That's another Babbage. There was 2 Babbages, weren't there? Renegade Man, I'm reading your comments and I'm going like, move up from where? From first? I get it. You'll move up with the Calgary pick. It's possible they do. There's still a lot of time. I wouldn't. And sometimes that moving up stuff happens day of the draft, right? At the draft. So don't expect that to be. That might not be something they do till the draft. And Gordon's done it before. Is Binnington hurt? Looks like Binnington's hurt. Gordon's moved up before with the Rangers, I believe. Yakupov was the worst. Yakupov was a bad one, yeah. I don't know if he was the worst first overall. There were a couple of bad ones. Patrick Stefan. Didn't Patrick Stefan is still playing or something? He had a long career. Daig. I was thinking Daig. Daig was a pretty big bust too. BL, I just read that not too long ago, actually, that Brian Burke said Yakupov was the worst draft-eligible player that he ever interviewed. He was the worst interview ever. YouTube for the worst first overall pick, Greg Jolie. What year, though? I think that's a long time ago. A lot of teams weren't back, I guess in the 70s, because the draft started, late 60s or something like that. For a number of years, a lot of teams didn't really care about the draft that much. And that's why I imagine that's why Montreal was able to steal away Guy Lafleur from Oakland. There was a Wayne Babbage YouTube. Nolan, I remember that. He had a horrible attitude. I don't remember if that was because he didn't want to play hockey, but that sounds familiar. BL, some years, all there are underwhelming picks for the first overall. He had a long career. Patrick Stefan once blew an empty net breakaway. Oh, wow. Brad Marchand blew a shootout, a breakaway shot, a goal. Couldn't pick up the puck properly. Yakupov makes Galchenyuk not a bust because Galchenyuk actually did produce points. He's one of the bigger producers of that draft. Greg Jolie was 73. Yeah, back then, I'm telling you, a lot of teams didn't think much of the draft. They were just getting used to that being the way of getting their players, some teams, because it was the sponsorship before that. Sponsorship system. And anyways, that's what I've read a lot about it recently because I've done some videos, and that's what I've read. Dig just wanted money. YouTube, that DiPietro pick was bad. Hey, Quinn. Yeah, Galchenyuk's with the USA team, yeah. Larry, my opinion, KK did better in Montreal than in Carolina, but that's my opinion. His numbers say that, but they signed him for 8 years at almost $5 million. I don't get it, but hey, that's what you do when you're having a feud. Fourth line, yeah, he's fourth line center. He's center, but he's fourth line, so $6 million for a fourth line center, and then he's going to be $5 million almost for a fourth line center. Okay. YouTube, it's true, right? They traded Luongo to put DiPietro in there. Nolan, KK not a poor guy. First of all, he left for the money, and it paid off. They signed him for 8 years at $4.8 million average. That's not bad money for what he's producing. That's great money. BL, I forgot. Was it Milbury that did that? Because I'm thinking Garth Snow for some reason. I don't know. But Milbury was a piss poor person. Never mind. Piss poor GM. Yeah. Nolan, we don't need Galchenyuk. No, that's fine. We don't need him. Larry, we're discovering that you're probably right on that. That they didn't have a development program once they drafted guys. They didn't, and I'm sure that's a contributing factor for sure. Nolan, easy. Well, the right part we're gonna do, getting Bedard. That's easier said than done, but we're working on it. And you know what? We were talking earlier with Wright, sending Wright to back to junior for a year. It kind of helps in that quest to get Bedard, and then we've got it's a hell of a problem to have, right? Too many good centers. Which you just throw one of them on the wing, exactly. I don't agree with that renegade man about Chucky. Chucky had a big problem, and that was his father. And his father always talking against his coaching, and his dad was a coach, and he was trying to, it didn't work. So I don't agree with you on that in that particular case. But you're right, I think, about a lot of other guys, yeah. Garsnow was after, but was Garsnow, I think, was still playing when DiPietro was drafted, I guess. Hey, Filibuster. How you doing, man? Shea Paris, Mrs. Galchenyuk, and some of the drug. Garsnow gave that contract, so wasn't he the GM that drafted him? I mean, am I wrong? Then wouldn't it have been Gar Snow? Anyway, Colorado just tied it up. I saw that on Husso. So Binnington got hurt, and Husso came in. Edie's a 1-1 game, 11 minutes into the first period. Milbury, like I said, Larry, horrible person, just in general. So we also need a Nemec or Yurchek. But aren't they both defensemen? I doubt Montreal's drafting a defenseman in the first round with that first pick anyway. Our young defense up and coming in the pipeline, there's some good players there. Not to say that Nemec and Yurchek aren't good prospects, but are possibilities. But no, not your first pick. Now, Mike Milbury as a player, yeah, I don't know that he was horrible. From what I remember in my day, I can't remember being a bad defenseman. Just hated him because he was on the Bruins. DB, I don't think Marc-Andre Fleury signs in Montreal, mostly because they can't afford him. Right? Think about that. They can't. They don't have the cap money. If prices are, I mean, I still don't think so. You're not spending that kind of money on a team for a team that's rebuilding. Kind of the goalie at this point, like if you don't have that goalie in place, you're rebuilding, right? When your rebuild's done, that's the year you want to look for that goalie. You don't really. Why are you putting that goalie in place now? You know what I mean? You're not ready for him. So I don't think so. But Price is already here. It's a different situation. They're not bringing in Fleury. YouTube Garceau did go from backup goalie to GM. Like a light switch. Boom. All right, I didn't realize the timeline. No, it doesn't matter on the DiPietro thing. Renegade Man, Hughes said he's not going after big name free agents. He said he's not. I don't know why people expect that he is. Nolan, but that right D might already be in the system as far as that, that could be. And there's other guys that could be drafted. I don't think you're taking Nemec or Yurchek won't be there unless they trade up to get him. But yeah, that's it. You might win too many games with Fleury, and you got to pay him a lot of money. He's not coming cheap. What the Habs will do with Price? Well, kind of up to Price in a lot of ways, or will Price be able to play at all? We don't know. It's their biggest question mark probably this offseason. That's probably their biggest question mark. Carey Price. We still don't know if he's going to have off-season surgery. If he is, I hope they do it soon. Milbury was a goon, nothing more. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I know he played that type of game. I guess my memories are more of just hearing his name a lot. Back in the day when Montreal played Boston. I never liked Mike Milbury at all. And yeah, he's been a horrible executive, hockey executive. Well, DB, Hughes has said they're looking forward to Gallagher coming back next year and having a comeback kind of season. So are they going to get – does that mean they won't trade him? No, but I don't see how you trade Gallagher's contract. without retaining money, and that's 5 years on that. I don't see how you do it, and I don't think they're going to trade it and retain like $2 million for 5 years. I don't see it. Jason, but he's also a bigger risk reward. Also, you got to look at it that way too, right? I think you're right. Like, um, no pun intended. That he could be a game breaker because he's a bigger player. He can play a very physical game, that kind of stuff. But he's a big risk reward compared to Wright. I think Wright is the safer pick, and I just think he's the better player. I like Slavkovsky though, so don't get me wrong. PL, yeah, that game where they 4 or 5 of them didn't they go up into the stands? I think I remember that. And if it wasn't against Montreal, I remember that with the shoe. BL, 2 guys that are horrible people, so they both deserve each other. Ronick's not a nice guy, from what I understand as well. Yeah, sorry for shaking the screen. I'm shaking my leg. I forgot it shakes the camera. But did you see this with Arizona? They can't have their logo at center ice in the arena. So when they play, there'll be a university team logo, I guess. That's insanity. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that Nolan at the start, like if Wright goes back to junior for a bit, it wouldn't surprise me. And I believe for him, right, he has to be in Montreal or in junior. He can't go to Laval. So, yeah, I think it'll be one or the other. Training camp will decide, right? Okay, I'm trying. Hey, Tario, I should say hi first. Galley's not a 2-way center. That's what's confusing me. He could have a bounce back season. I don't see why not. Will he have 35 goal season again? Probably not. Doesn't mean he can't have a good season. BL, yeah, it could be that. I remember them doing that. I thought it was against Montreal. Yeah, it's just I remember that the shoe beating the guy with the shoe. How could you forget that? Nolan, I don't know that they would be better. I think if they send right back to junior, what's wrong with him being totally dominant for a full season down in junior? Nothing wrong with it at all. It's the one thing he kind of missed this past season that he would have had if he didn't miss the season with the COVID shutdowns. Bonus out in Dallas. Not a surprise. Oh, it's pretty much all they got. 2-way centers. Oh yeah, Larry, that's beating a dead horse though. Will they ever move out of Arizona? I don't know. They should have a long time ago. No, the Ron Artest thing that was different. That's first of all, that's basketball, isn't it? Two different. I remember that one too when Ron Artest did that. Is it Artest? Yeah, Artest, right? Ron Artest. He's an artist. De Boer, Trotz, and Maurice are the leading candidates for the star job. Is Maurice still looking to be coaching, or is he like kind of is he retired? Excuse me. You would have thought if Paul Maurice had wanted to, well, maybe he just took a year off, but he would have thought he'd been hired somewhere already. Nolan, who we talking about? YouTube, did that happen in the same year? I don't think so, right? Obviously. No, it wouldn't have. It couldn't have happened in the same year. I don't know why I even asked that. Again, who we talking about? Who's Medio World Peace? Who's named that? Who are we talking about? Ron Artest? Wonder who Eichel will pick to coach Vegas. I think Jack Eichel might be a team killer. Nolan, did he change it at the same time Facebook changed to Metaverse? Because, he could have been Meta World Peace, like their brother and sister. I don't know. Meta World Peace. The basketball player formerly known as Ron Artest. Still 1-1. Only 3.5 minutes left in the first period. Over there in St. Louis. St. Louis. It's not that. And now every time I see the city St. Louis, I think St. Louis. Because of Marty. The Coyotes should have never gone to Arizona. They should never left Winnipeg. Yeah, I don't know how well that team was doing in Winnipeg back in the day, to be honest with you. I don't think it was doing good, the Jets back then. So I don't know that it was sustainable. You know what, YouTube? That makes a lot of sense. The new coach of Vegas, Elon batshit crazy Musk. Elon, I posed as a Democrat, and now I turn right-wing bullshit crazy, batshit nutso freaky, whatever you want to say. Genius of a guy, batshit crazy. Don't at me. Imagine if Vegas had to trade Eichel now or whatever. Like they said, "Oh, we don't want this guy." Yeah. No, I can't really. I don't think Sutter would suffer Jack Eichel too well. BL, yeah, the Canadian dollar. Yeah, I think you're right. Right, if that was before the CBA and the salary cap, right? It's true. They couldn't. They weren't sustainable there, and under that, with no salary cap. uh, yeah, wouldn't wouldn't surprise me. YouTube. Renegade Man. Also, there was no salary cap, so yeah, the dollar was low, and there was no salary cap. There's no way they could have sustained that in the smaller markets like that. What is the ideal? What my ideal lineup for the Habs when we compete for a cup? That's hard to say. I don't really expect them to compete for the cup for at least 3 years, probably 4 or 5 years. God knows who's going to be here still and all that. So I don't know. I mean, I still think Suzuki, Caulfield, like some of these young guys will be here, but yeah, I'm not visionary enough to look that far ahead and give you a lineup. I really am not. You too. Yeah, maybe. Might come to that in Vegas too. I don't know. It just seems like he brings the team down. I mean, he left Buffalo. Buffalo looks good. Kind of like John Tavares leaving the Islanders. Should I play those for? I'm gonna got time for our sponsors. This is our sponsors. Now, a word from our sponsors.
Choke Cola, Game 7 Special Blend, the official soft drink of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Choke Cola, careful how you swallow. It's Game 7. And by NHL Pricks Sports Betting. 19 years and over only. Yeah, right. Please gamble responsibly. We will. NHL Pricks Sports Betting. Give us your money.
Oh, sorry, I had that up a little too fast there. Sorry, a little running out a little fast. Yeah. So don't forget NHL Pricks. Yeah, maybe if I went to comments back over there, I'd see what you guys are saying. Habs trade. What's a 10A pick? I don't get that. If they trade for Matthews, my head will. Yeah, have you ever watched Scanners? Yeah, my head will explode like that. Okay, wait. How are the Coyotes responsible for Austin Matthews? And if they are responsible for Austin Matthews, they should be set on fire and banned from the league forever. He looks like a tough old guy, yeah. Seems to be on. I don't know. So you're saying 10A is first overall pick. How does that? How does that? I don't know how that works out. BL, yeah. I think most of us know who Matthew Kachuk's father is. I hope. It's certainly not Walt Kachuk. Spelled differently anyway. I think. Yeah, but I'm seeing the YouTube. You got the 1 and it looks like a 0. Your O looks like a 0. So you should have put 1 and don't put a hyphen in between the O and the A. It's 9:00. Do you know where your kids are? Yeah, I get it, but anyways. Okay. 7 years, yeah, I know. I thought he'd get one this year. I was sure, but maybe he's just one of those players that isn't going to make the playoffs ever because he kills teams. I don't know. Only time will tell. How we doing there? What's I doing today? I didn't get any news today at all. There was nothing. I know stuff come up over the last few days. I just haven't written anything down, so bad on me. So I don't know, but there's not much news. There's not much going on right now with the Habs, which is, I mean, it's the off season. Usually, when the playoffs are on, anyways, they discourage teams from like doing too much as far as trades and stuff like that. They really discourage that. So I don't think we'll see or hear anything much till just before during the finals, I guess. I'm trying to think. The 7th is July 7th, I think, is the draft. So, yeah, another month. It'll be quiet. Hey, Guru. It's going okay. How about you? How about you, buddy? Eichel wants to be a player, coach, owner. What else? Yeah, look, I don't know. Maybe it's a bad rap against Eichel. I don't know. It's just a lot of people say it. So doesn't make it true, but it could be. We'll see if he ever gets into the playoffs. He'll probably get to the playoffs first time, and then just be a total bust in the playoffs. Oh, I saw that play, finally, the broken stick. The puck hit the guy's stick to break it. It wasn't the guy who shot the puck. Joe Pallotta, I'm going to say exactly this. Letang will not be a Hab. 100% guaranteed. YouTube Eichel to the Leafs. Love it. Love that. They should trade Eichel for Tavares. But Kale McCarr, one hell of a defenseman as far as, the offensive side, yeah. I don't know enough about McCarr. Like, I haven't watched him enough to know about his defense. But he sure as hell puts up a lot of points from back there. YouTube, Toronto needs all they can get of those players. Like, yeah, I agree with you. Renegade Man, the Sabres wanted. Yeah, I know. And our late friend Jeff, that was something we were different on. He kind of convinced me at some point that maybe we should go after Eichel. I'm glad Habs did not. But boy, Jeff would have traded Caulfield in a second for Eichel. Ray, I don't know what you heard. You heard nothing. My dog hears things and then barks. Ray, stop. Ray, no barking. But yeah, trading Caulfield would have been stupid, obviously. Hedman playing crazy minutes. Well, he's their number one guy. Every team, you need that. You want to win in the playoffs, you got to have one or two D that can play 30 minutes a game every night and just be a stud force out there. YouTube, maybe that's what you heard. Yeah. God, no. Thank God my dog does not do that at 4 a.m, but she has done it before. It's not very often. It's rare she barked like that at that time. Although there's times I'm going to bed at 4 a.m, a lot of times. So, but no, usually she, once it's 1 a.m, 12, she doesn't bark. Crypto Bunny, I don't know if they'd admit that they regret getting Eichel yet. Give it a year or two, though. Renegade, they wanted like half of Montreal for. But you're right. I think I heard that they wanted Suzuki, Caulfield, and Romanov all at once. Yeah, Jack Eichel ain't worth that. That's for sure. And in the end, with a little patience, Montreal gets that first overall pick, and at the top are two solid centers. So, and then you never know. Next year could work out our way too. You never know. It's happened a few times. It hasn't happened to a team winning the first pick 2 years in a row. Didn't the Rangers or something do it? BL, you live on an old farm. Yeah, I grew up on an old farm. Well, I say grew up. I spent 5 years up in Ormstown on a farm, grade 7 to through high school. Like it was old. I think it was built in 1867. Like it was old, the house and everything. Yeah, I spent. I remember once 3 months in a row, basically there along with the dogs. I was 14. It was scary at night. Some nights. Hey, Matt Greer. Oh, no worries. Who is the absolute guy you think we should trade for in the offseason? Honestly, I don't think there's anybody. I think they want to build mostly through the draft. I really couldn't say, like, some of the guys that I think are going to get traded. I don't know if you can target. I don't think a guy like me can figure out who they're targeting. Let's put it that way. And I think if they're looking to make big trades and bringing in big guys that way, this offseason, I don't think it happens. They don't have the money, number one. That's one big thing. So this offseason, I don't know that they make a lot of trades where they're bringing back guys like that, where you say, well, they're targeting this guy. If it's a young player, okay, different, but I wouldn't know who they're targeting that way. YouTube, that's not a serious thing. YouTube saying Buffalo offered Eichel to Edmonton for McDavid, Draisaitl, Nurse, and 2 first-round picks. Yeah, and that's not a thing. Renegade Man, wouldn't you be upset that your team chose Cam York over Cole Caulfield? Hey, Harry Rice. How's it going, Harry? Hey, Caden St. Laurent. Who's a team that you think will look to make a lot of moves this season? Team to transition to a true contender or a team to start a rebuild? Well, Montreal's starting a rebuild. There's one. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I can answer the other one. To be honest with you, I don't know that I can answer that. Petrie should be traded. Petrie probably will be traded. It won't be the most, it won't be the easiest trade, although, Petrie playing well last 20 games, especially of the season, is going to help it. But, yeah, I don't know. I think they'll trade him, though. I think Petrie does get moved. I would think there's teams out there that would want a Petrie for the right price. Bye-bye. Yeah, I know Slavkovsky's a hell of a player. Hey, Luca. What is this, a test in school? Who should Wright's line mates be for his 9 games next season and why? Is this like, what, a 1,000-word essay you need or what do you need here? Yeah, I mean, will he be here next season? I'm kind of thinking, oh, you're talking about the 9 games. Yeah, no, this is true. I do think as long as he has a decent to good training camp, you got to check him out here in the NHL. You got 9 games to play with. Geez. Well, I kind of think you're going to have Anderson on the right. It depends on what kind of moves, right? I think if Drouin's here, I think you've got probably. I don't see how you're not going to have Drouin and Anderson as his line mates. Just because I'm. Are you going to play? Are you going to play those guys on the third line? I guess they could. It's only 9 games. Yeah, that's going to be my best guess. If he plays third line, shit, he's going to have Gallagher and would he have Gallagher and Pitlick? I mean, would they go that way? I don't know. I'm not doing well. I think I'm failing this exam. Petrie to Dallas for Maverick Bork. I really don't think Dallas wants to give Bork up for Petrie. I don't think. I don't know that Dallas will make that deal. Bill, I would think LA is definitely going to look to improve. For the next playoffs. And the Flyers are in a similar boat, like all the bottom feeders. Crypto Buddy says Roy for one of the wingers. That's a good. It's gonna. I mean, Roy's gonna have to make the jump too. Can Roy make the jump next year though? I don't think so. Oh yeah, he'd have to make the jump or stay in junior, right? Will Armia be traded? I hope they can make that deal. I hope so. They're going to have to sweeten a deal like that, which is where I think I've said before. I think Norlinder might be a guy that gets traded because of a deal like that. You know, if you're really looking to move Armia, you might have to sweeten a deal like that with a Norlinder. I know you can call me crazy, but there's a lot of good prospects on D. One of them is going to get moved, at least one. And my gut says it's Norlinder. That's all. Call me crazy. I'm used to it. I don't see Gallagher. Honestly, I don't see Gallagher moving. 5 years left on the contract. I don't see how you move Gallagher's contract without retaining salary, and I don't think Montreal wants to retain salary on one player for 5 years. So, Petrie different, but is he going to go to? I'd love that trade, Petrie to Nashville for Askarov. I'd love that. YouTube, Drouin, Suzuki, Caulfield, line 1. I don't think Drouin's the guy to play with them, though. I know he's a playmaker and all that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong there. And if they can't trade Hoffman, if they don't, it's Hoffman. Because Hoffman, if you remember I'd say, 7 games or so, something like that. He played really good with Caulfield and Suzuki. So I would think they'd look at it that way if they can't move Hoffman. Now, I know they tried Drouin with Suzuki a couple of times. I mean, it's a different, not era, but maybe they'll go that way. I don't know. I just think it's going to be. I mean, Hoffman played really good with Suzuki and Caulfield for the last 5, 6, 7 games, something like that. But I hope they manage to move Hoffman, actually. Armia is too inconsistent for anybody to really want. I get that. I think with Armia, like you got to hold like $500,000 and you got to sweeten the deal with a guy like maybe a Norlinder or somebody like that. I think there's a team out there that's going to think, we need a guy like Armia. We'll turn him around, and you'll be able to move him but you're gonna have to give up something with him. Hey, Larry, I didn't know you left. Sorry. Welcome back. Oop. Crypto Bunny, they may. Yeah, you might be right. Oh, God, sorry, got the hiccups or the burps, whatever you want to call them. Harry, I think the Anderson experiment, while I like some of the games that they played, I think Anderson's a bit streaky for that line. And you got to play Caulfield on the left side. I don't think that's their optimum that they'd like. But you maybe, I mean, for next year, I mean, maybe that's how it starts, I guess. And you got Drouin, Wright, Hoffman. Well, that's interesting. I mean, that's interesting, yeah. Pitlick, Devo, Gallagher, yeah, makes a lot of sense. And then you got Roy, Paling, Byron. Well, free agent signings, how can we figure them in there, right? Till they happen. So, got to go with what's on the roster. Yeah, I mean, that's I like that. Hoffman, Devo, Anderson, line 2, assuming Hoffman isn't traded and assuming Wright doesn't impress them enough to play the second line. Pitlick, Wright, Gallagher, line 3. Yeah, I kind of tend to agree with you, though, that Wright would be third line center. Maybe even as much as 3-4 games, and then they might, if he's doing well, move him up and see how he is at second line. I don't know. I'm not a coach, so you can tell right there. YouTube as Pizzetta, Evans, Ilonen, line 4. Yeah, I think you probably nail that one. Or Paling as the center there. Evans or Paling there. Hey, NHL Hockey News. How's it going, man? Harry, I think it's going to be an interesting training camp to see how the lines work out. Hey, Luca, I like that scenario, and I kind of think you might be right there. Yeah, I kind of think. I mean, depending. Listen, if Reich gets here, I guess the same for Raw. It could be, and he just wows them, has a great training camp, and plays good. Then he doesn't go back, I guess. I kind of think he'll go back at some point. Well, not at some point. It'll be before the 10th game. YouTube, it's a good point for Drouin, but my worry for Drouin actually is a lot like this. If you remember, I don't know which wrist now he had operated, but he had the other one operated on. It took him a good season and a half to get comfortable with that injury again after the operation. If you guys remember, I figure it'll be the same thing for, so I think he's going to struggle a bit. Like, I don't think he's going to be at the top line. Whoop, jumped. Shit, that jumped a lot. Oh, NHL Hockey News. I'm not that far along. I couldn't tell you. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know who's out there and available right now. YouTube. There's no way Montreal's going to pick up Lucic. Although you know what though? I mean, it's only 1 year Lucic's contract. Yeah, he's making a lot of money. I guess that might. I don't know. I don't think Montreal, for any reason, acquires Lucic. I hope not. Yeah, BL. It's only 1 year, but I think that's that's a lot. They don't really have. Listen, they have to move some salary. They don't have this money that you know everyone thinks they have to acquire players. They don't have it right now. What do they have? Like 6.5 million after, depending on what's with Carey Price, right? But they have like 6.5 million. They got to move some salary. They got no cap space, so I don't see taking on that like double of what Armia costs you. I don't know how they do that. Romanov has to be signed. There's a few signings to make, and Romanov's going to take up, I would think, 3.5 million of that 6.5. Weber being traded or not doesn't matter in the end because, as far as I know, if there's something else I'm missing, I don't know. But if you're up against the cap, then he goes on LTIR, you get that relief. Same thing with Price. Um, so that doesn't bother me. They got to trade, but Petrie I think will get traded. Yeah, Joe Pilata, I agree with you there. In my video, I mean, I had Petrie, Hoffman, and Armia as being three guys I think will be moved in the offseason. So, yeah. Yeah, I just don't. YouTube, he says 5.25, by the way, for Lucic. I don't think they're going to be trading guys and then bringing back more salary. They can't. They got to move money before they can do that. Let's see, Luca. I think people are forgetting that Shane and McJesus had identical exceptional status years, but Shane lost COVID year. So his D1 year in the AHL could easily be 40 goals, 80 assists, 30. Wait, could easily be 40 goals, 80 assists, 32, 62, and this first year back. He had 32 goals, 62 assists this first year back. I don't know. That didn't compute for some reason. I kind of know where you're going there. It didn't compute in my head. Don't know why. Yeah, I think we're gonna get Shane Wright for the first pick. I that's all I got. Rick's getting tired. 3.4 for Armia is not too appealing to other clubs. That's why you sweeten the deal and retain a little bit of money. Talking about Shane Wright being a franchise changer. Yeah, he's not a generational player, but I mean, he could be a really big, important piece to this team moving forward. And taking a chance on a guy like Slavkovsky over Wright could be a really big mistake. Tario says Anderson is a playoff performer, so they need to get to the playoffs. I think he's going to be traded at some point, if not performing consistently next season. Yeah, I think Anderson's a bit streaky anyway, and no, I don't really agree with you there. I mean, you keep a guy like Anderson. He's got a good contract. Habs should draft Taro Sugimoto with their second first round pick. So what is he, a sumo wrestler? I don't know why I said that. Wish there was better coverage of training camps. Well, I cover all the I'll do all the preseason games. Lucas, I think they won't be looking for another veteran D-man until they move Petrie, though. So, like, why are they going to sign a guy if they can't move Petrie in the end? It doesn't make sense. So they'll have to move Petrie before they get anybody else, I think. Um, yeah, BL, I don't find 5.5 for Anderson. Big money, and he does not have 6 years left on his deal. He has 5. I just try to find a comment to comment on. Seems to me, Luca, that the talk about Wright just not being the right guy for Montreal to pick is get people talking out of their ass or something. You can't be over the cap before the season starts. Yes, you can. You can't be over the cap once the season starts. And no, not including LTIRs. If you are at the cap, but LTIR can bring you under. If you're at the cap or over and you can't use your LTIR money and bring you under. I don't get what you're saying there, Habination. They can go 10% over the cap in the offseason. So when they're making moves and all that, they can run at a 10% over the cap right up until puck drop or the midnight before the first game. Hey, Chicago Steve. How's it going? Price is not going anywhere. Price's future right now is too uncertain for any team to trade for that contract. Montreal will not hold $5 million in retained salary for 4 years on him, so that's out right there. Gallagher again, 5 years. Who's really gonna be able to trade Gallagher without retained salary? I don't think so. And that's 5 years of retained salary. Doubt Montreal does that. Gallagher will be back unless somebody makes an offer and trades and you don't ask for retained money. I mean, that's not going to happen. Like I'd be shocked. YouTube, yeah. I mean, he doesn't. There's no generational player in this draft, so we can't draft one. So, yeah, I mean, he's being compared to Bergeron, and I'd be happy to have that. Oh, maybe McDavid will get his cup this year. I never heard of Tyler Brennan before, Steve, so I couldn't tell you anything about him. Larry, there's lots of guys there. I don't know everybody back there. I just have this feeling that they might grab Hughes's kid at the end there, or trade that pick, that Calgary pick, to either to move one way or the other, like down with 2 picks, getting 2 picks back, second round or something like that, or trying to move up. Anderson should get a solid second rounder in return if he's traded. If you're trading Anderson for a second rounder, you're an idiot. I'm sorry. I don't know. That's Paling, 9 goals in 57 games, playing limited ice time. I know he's a centerman. Give him a chance on the top line. He has a bit of grit. Maybe he nets 25 goals. I think Paling would be either a center or he's a left winger. Other than that, right? Power forward type, top line guy. I don't think he's got the offense for a top line. Um, bu- 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 Trying to find out what he said. I can't figure that out. What happens if they start the first game over the cap? They can't start the first game. They get fined. I don't know what it is. They're 3, but they can go 10% over. Have a nation. It's fine. Harry Rice, no, they can't. They're not. They can't start the. They can't start the first game over the cap. So, um, they would have to. Yeah, they would have. You're right. Harry's right. They just have to start one player less. Yeah, you're right. Have I seen Mayu play this year? Oh, Luca, you're asking. Well, he was hurt for a lot of it, so I doubt Luca did. I mean, just think of that Bay with the luxury tax, right? Look at the shit that Tampa got with the Kucherov thing. I know it wasn't probably just for going over the cap, but don't you think then, the teams that use that would get, I don't know. Oh my God, I don't know. I think the hard cap's not the end of the world. It's just that it's been flat for a few years now. That's what's killing us right now. If this cap had gone up over the last 3 years, it wouldn't be such a big deal. I think I'm going to go in a few minutes. Back when the draft was a new thing, Scotty Bowman was the coach and GM of Buffalo. No. Scotty Bowman was the coach and GM of Buffalo in 1980. Draft started 15 years before that. So I don't know what you're talking about, YouTube. Have a nation, they're allowed to go 10% over the draft in the offseason. It's not where I heard the rule, it is the rule. Have a nation. That's why they gotta move money. They gotta move out cap. They gotta save cap somewhere. Make cap space. Still 1-1 halfway through the second. If Weber retires, the Predators are on the hook for a cap recapture, salary, early retirement. I forget what they call it, but it's Nashville that's on the hook. To get released, they can't just release him. I don't think I don't. They're not going to do that anyway. They're going to trade his contract to a team that needs LTIR money. Gerard, I saw him down on the ice. He was taken to the hospital. That sucks. Babe, I know they're hypocrites. What do you expect? I don't think the gambling is because of Vegas necessarily. They've been losing money. That was a goal. Was that a goal? St. Louis just scored. They've been losing money on that the deal for they had to the sports night and all that, right? I think they're doing all this because they're trying to make the money back. Although it's not just Sportsnet advertising, it is true. It's deals with the NHL. Agreed. I mean, that's what it is. And maybe you're right, I guess. Maybe that is because of Vegas. My personal belief is that's also why the refs are so bad. The refs are so bad because of this, of the gambling. Am I saying they're fixing games? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the reffing is bad, and it has to do with gambling, I believe. Ontario took the gambling out of the corner stores, but they allowed the sports betting. Yeah. I got another offer the other day from the third one for sports betting. And yeah, I just deleted it. I'm not doing that. That's why I made that ad. Luca, is that the Punjabi guy? Yeah, I haven't heard him. All right, I think I'm going to take off here, guys. Yeah, I think I'm going to take off here. I have no idea what I'm planning for next week. I don't think I have anything special. Yeah, so as I decide, I'll let you guys know. I will do a membership drive, a membership of some sort video on Wednesday, and I'll be back next Saturday. Next Saturday, probably we're redrawing for those hats. I still haven't heard from either of the two winners. So yeah, so next Saturday we're more than likely redrawing. So if you've donated to the channel, if you're a member, yeah, you're gonna want to see that and see if you want one of the hats. And I think that's it. All right, so I'm gonna take off here. I want to thank everybody for being here Saturday night. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of your Saturday night. There's still lots of time. It's only a little after 9:30. If you're watching the game, enjoy the rest of the game. Got a little under half of the game left. Colorado, St. Louis. I'm going to watch that, and I'm going to have some supper, and that's it. And there you go. So thanks for being here, everybody. I really do appreciate it. I'll see you next time. I'll have a video or two or whatever coming out soon. Colorado just scored. Kadri, yep. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Peace out, y'all, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody. Ciao, ciao. Have a good rest of the night.